We always get questions about leveraged ETFs, and one of the common ones is how come they don't perform the same as an underlying index? In other words, let's say you have a triple leveraged ETF and the underlying index is up, I don't know, 20%, but your leveraged ETF is even down. So let me try and explain why it is that these products may cause some confusion. Leveraged ETFs certainly common names include ultra, double, three-time ETFs, and it's the idea that you take an ETF, which is an exchange-traded fund based upon an underlying index or basket or whatever it is that it's measuring, and then leverage it. So what it does is it looks to augment or, let's say, increase the returns on a daily basis. And they're both long and short ETFs available. Both long and short regular ETFs, long and short leveraged ETFs. And again, what they try and do is look at the daily returns. And so these are products that have become popular in recent years, both to play the upside and also play the downside. As someone, really for someone who doesn't want to play the downside with options or with futures, some people use these as a hedge. But here's the thing, this is really important. They're designed to provide 2 or 3 times daily returns of the underlying index. Daily. Look at that daily. That is underlined there. And the reason why that's underlined and stressed is because when you look at these products, they sort of do what they say they're going to do. It's just there's a lot of misunderstanding around the process, let's say, and that they look at the daily returns. So I'll kind of explain this a little bit more in an example. Let's say that you use, I don't know, an underlying index is priced at $100 for our example here, and the 3 times ETF is $50. Now you might say, well, wait a second, how come the 3-time ETF is not priced at $100 as well? Well, sometimes they are. They issue these at the same price or maybe 1/10 the price of a basket or an index, but other times they do come out with ones that are just priced not necessarily the same as an index. For our purposes today, just understand that that is a case that's out there. But for what we want to do is look at, and I'll call this CR for cumulative return and DR for daily return. CR means cumulative and DR means daily return. So let's look at our example, and hopefully this clears up why when you see an index up or down a certain percentage, the underlying leveraged ETF, 2 or 3 times ETF, is not acting the same. It really just goes to the compounding effect. So what I've got here is, and I'll read from left to right at the top. So we're going to look at this over 4 different days. We've got our index, that's the price of 100, the daily return in percentage basis, the cumulative return, and cumulative just means if you're up one day and you're down another day, what's cumulative of all the days, right? And then the CR, or the cumulative return, times 3. And then we have the 3 times daily return, the 3-time ETF price, and then the actual gain or loss in the price of the 3-time ETF. So what you've got here is you've got day 1, the price goes to 95, which is a loss of 5%. On a cumulative basis, first day you're down 5%. Times 3 would be down 15%. And so if you subtract 15% off the price of the 3-time ETF of 50, you get the new price of $42.50, and the actual is you've lost 15%. Day 2, looking way back on the left there, the index goes to 95.95, which is actually a gain of 1%. On a cumulative basis, you're now down 4.05%, times 3, 12.15. The daily return, or the 3 times daily return, is 3%. But here's the thing. Because we lost on a percentage basis more off that price, when we gain, we actually don't gain as much, and so now you're lagging a little bit. You're actually down negative 12.44%. Day 3, you see the index go down to 90%, which is down 6.20%. Cumulative basis, you've now gone from 100 to 90, so you're down 10% on your investment. And then we're down 30% if we times that by 3. Well, what happened was, on a cumulative basis, we lost 18.60%. And when we lost 18.60%, our price of the 3-time ETF went to 35.64, so now we're down 28.72. We're actually not down 30%, which would be 3 times the underlying index. We're only down 28.72, and the reason why that is, when we lost that 18.60%, we lost it off less of a price. And this goes to the cumulative basis. Day 4, you can kind of see this is where it ends up. The index winds up at 101. So we gained a point from our initial starting point of 100, and we're up 1%. Well, you'd expect 3 times that to be 3%. In fact, looking at that last day, which is a really great up day, 3 times the 12.22% is 36.66%. That gets us back to 48.70. But notice, though, in the underlying index, we're now priced at 101, but in the 3-time ETF, we're actually only priced at 48.70. So while cumulatively we're up 1% on the index, we're down 2.26%. The way you have to look at this, and I know we've got a lot of numbers here, and I encourage you to play this back and really look at these numbers and do the math. But the way to look at this, folks, is simple. If you have a $100,000 portfolio and you lose 50% of that, you're now down to $50,000. If you gain, or to get back to $100,000 on a $50,000 base value, to get back to 100, you don't need 50% gain, you need 100% gain. So think about that. You had 100,000, you lost 50%, now you're at 50. If you gain 50% back on 50,000, that would only get you to 75,000. You need 100% gain. And that's where the compounding comes in. And so with leveraged ETFs, it's simply one of the things where you really want to watch these, because they do sort of what they say they're going to do, but it's on a daily basis. And when you do the cumulative returns or the compounding, that's the reason why you see sometimes an index might be up a lot, but the leveraged ETF might actually be down or be even. And just a couple things. Watch position size and risk here. And you've got to ask yourself, if your risk only kind of lets you put on a certain amount of points, are these worth using? Because you're actually tripling your risk in some cases, right? Or maybe even more. So before using these, really start to play around with this, understand it, and hopefully this started to answer some of the questions I've been getting on leveraged ETFs and why the pricing is a little bit different. We'll leave it there, and like this video, please subscribe and check out the other videos, and feel free to ask questions. Thank you.